Hello there, and welcome to Can Sanity. Today we're going to show you how to use the KitchenAid shredder attachment. Now it's a fantastic attachment to have if you have a KitchenAid because you can shred up your cheese really quickly, and then you can store it in your fridge or store it in your freezer if you want to keep it for longer term use. And what I like to do with my Parmesan cheese is I buy like a big block like this at the Costco, and I shred up at least half of it, and then it's just nice and handy to be able to use whenever I need it. Now if you just want to shred up a little bit, I had this, which I've had this little shredder for 30 years, and for just doing a little bit on top of your pasta, it was quite handy. But to shred up a whole bunch to have so that it's ready to use, it's a little bit laborious and it's a little hard on your hand because you have to press hard to get the cheese to meet the shredder. And so if you're going to use a lot of Parmesan cheese in your cooking, I totally recommend getting the attachment for your KitchenAid mixer. So I'm going to first use the blade, the small blade here, to do the shredding of the cheese, of the Parmesan cheese, and then I'm going to shred up some cheddar cheese as well. Now I do have this KitchenAid food processor. I've had it for 25-30 years, and it's super handy. I use it for so many things, and it also has a blade for shredding cheese, and you just have a part here that elevates the blade on the food processor, and then that just fits in there. And then you just put the cheese in there, press down, and shred your cheese that way. But for Parmesan cheese, I like to use this in particular because it shreds the Parmesan cheese really nicely. And so let's get started on the demonstration. Okay, so let's put the shredder together. So you'll have your base here where you're going to fit your blade in. And the blade just fits in like this, and you'll hear a little snap like that when it's in. And now you can't take it out unless you use this lever, and then it comes out for you to clean it. And you put that back in and just give it a snap. So it's in there tight now. And then we're going to attach it to the mixer. So you're going to unscrew your set screw, and then you're going to just push your the part in like that, and then just tighten it up. And now you can feed your cheese in and start your shredding. So you're going to have your plunger like this. You have two sizes for your plunger. You have the large piece for the large. If this is together like this, then if you have a large piece of cheese to shred, you're going to use the plunger like this. If you take this out, you can put the cheese down in this part, and that way you can shred just small cheese, pieces of cheese without the cheese kind of flying around in there. So just put that in like that. Now you're going to turn the mixer on to 4, and so I'm just going to just go over there. I'm going to feed the cheese in. And I think this will fit into the small. Yep. Might be a little tight. So you see the cheese just coming out the end. I'm going to just turn this up just a little bit. Now, I'm just going to take this out like that, and I'm going to use a bigger piece of cheese so that you can see what happens if I use a bigger piece. So this should fit in there fine, like that. Oops. And I'm just going to put the plunger back in and start her up. Okay, now I have some beautifully shredded Parmesan cheese. And look how beautiful that is. Now it's a little bit coarser than if you're going to use a fine shredder, but I love that. That's just perfect, in my opinion, for putting on top of pasta or putting it into pesto or making a lasagna. So now that I've shown you how to use that, I'm going to move to using the little hand grater so you can see how I use that for the Parmesan cheese. But before we do that, I'm just going to talk about cleaning. So to clean this this contraption here, you're going to take off the part. So just loosen the hub and just take it out. And then, like I showed earlier, you can take the blade out by just using the lever. And now you can throw that blade in the dishwasher. The blades go in the dishwasher, but if you're going to when you go to wash this, you wash this by hand. And so that's just how you take that apart. And you can also put this in the dishwasher. So now I'm just gonna show you how the shredding of the cheese works for just the hand held cheese shredder. Hello, kitty. Hi. Okay, so then you're just gonna put a piece of cheese in like this here, and then you're going to hold that tight. And I'm just looking to see if I have the bowl here close. Let me just grab that. Okay, so I just got a little bowl here, and I'm just going to grate my cheese into the little bowl. So to use the handheld, you just have to use your hands and press and grate. And so it takes quite a long time to grate a chunk. And just pulling, pressing hard here. And you can see how if you have the mechanical KitchenAid mixer and the shredder attachment, how it would go a lot faster. And so I'm almost done. But if I was going to try to grate up that much cheese, that's just a lot of work using just this little handheld. But it does the job for if you're just going to use just a little bit of cheese. And so now this is much finer than this. But if you're just putting it into pesto or making putting it on your lasagna, that's a really nice shred. And now when you buy the Parmesan in the blocks, and you cut off the cheese to shred, and you have these rinds, save these rinds, put them in a bag, put them in your fridge or freezer, and when you're making a soup, throw that Parmesan rind in your soup. It gives a really nice flavor to your soup. So I always save my rinds so that I could use them for that purpose. And so now we'll move on to shredding some cheddar cheese. Okay, so I decided I'm going to shred up some mozzarella first before doing the cheddar cheese, because I need that for a lasagna that I'm going to make. And so I'm going to just use the larger blade for that, and I'm just going to fit that into the house, and then I'm going to put that onto the KitchenAid just like the other blade, and then I'm just going to screw in the set screw, and that's nice and tight. And now I'm ready to to go with my shredding of my cheese. Now I put my cheese in the freezer for 10 minutes because then it's firmer, so it'll shred better. And so I'm just going to shred up this whole block. I'm going to need that for the lasagna. And I'm just going to start, I can probably put two sides, yeah, two in at once. And there we go. Okay, so the shredder with the KitchenAid mixer with the shredder attachment turned out really, shredded the cheese really nicely. It's a little curly, but it's going to melt really nicely in my lasagna. So this is fantastic. If you make a lot of pizza, then you can shred up your cheese, put it in the fridge, and it's ready to go when you're ready to use it. Now, just for comparison, I'm going to show you shredding the cheese in my KitchenAid food processor. Because I've had this much longer than I've had this attachment, and this is how I've used what I used for a long time, and it works really nicely as well. So I already have another block of cheese in the freezer just chilling up, and I'm just going to wrap this up and put this in the fridge, and then I'll show you how the KitchenAid food processor works with shredding the cheese. Okay, so I just took this other Parmesan cheese out of the freezer. Again, I only had it in there for 10 minutes, just so that it's firmer. It really helps, I find, especially when I'm using this, the food processor, because you'll see that the cheese will kind of gum up a little bit on top. But, so I'll just cut that into blocks. And then I'll put my, I'll unlock it. And then I'll just start shredding the cheese. Easy peasy. It's a great way to get your cheese shredded. I do have all kinds of box graters, and I do use those as well, but if I'm going to be making lasagnas or lots of pizzas, it's so worth having a food processor or the attachment for your KitchenAid mixer. Okay, so because I froze the cheese, there's hardly anything on top of, or not, froze it for 10 minutes, and there's hardly anything on top of this plate. But if you just take it out of the fridge, or if you try to grate it at room temperature, you'll have more bits of cheese on top of that. So in comparison with the attachment for the mixer, you're having more like curls with the cheese. The shred on the food processor is more of the straight shred. So now I have lots of cheese to make pizza or lasagna. And so the last thing I need to shred up, just because I have made bean burrito for us to have for dinner, is I'm going to shred up some cheddar cheese. But I'm just going to use my food processor because that's I've cleaned everything else, and it works the same. And so there's not a lot of point in just demonstrating just shredding up the cheddar cheese. And so I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I hope that if you are enjoying the KanSanity videos, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to the website and check out all the great recipes that are at kansanity.com. There's blogs there for you to read. The videos are there as well. And then there's a lot of recipes, over 230 recipes for you to view at your leisure. I hope you've enjoyed this video again. Have a good day.